Okay, so Kaycee, please introduce yourself and share a little bit about what healing means to you and a little insight or wisdom on what I said.
Yeah. So my name is Kaycee Siegel. I'm Raw Vegan Healing on Instagram, like she mentioned before. I've been on this healing journey for about 8 years now. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 20 years old back in 2013. The first, 3 or 4 years, I just did the I was on standard American diet. I was just, listening to what the doctor said, taking the medications, doing the treatments, doing whatever they were saying. And by 2017, I was in a wheelchair. I had a really aggressive case of RA, so a lot of joint damage and a lot of issues were happening in those first few years. And that was when I first went plant-based and first started, I guess you'd say, on this healing journey. And
That's
I've been
rheumatoid arthritis, those of you who don't know what RA is, because I didn't know.
rheumatoid arthritis. And yeah, so I've been doing this since about 2017 as far as like being more natural, trying to, get off medications and trying to do all of that. And it's definitely exactly like Rebecca said, it's a journey. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It took a long time to get sick, so it's going to take a long time to get better. So a lot of people, will question me and say like, oh, so you're fully healed now. That's awesome. Like, that's great. Like, how long did it take you to get there? Was it 6 months? Was it a year? And I really have to try to emphasize that the healing journey is going to be continuous. It's going to go on for, a while. It's going to go on for a long time. But every day that you are working towards it, you're making those improvements, you're, making choices to eat healthier, to have healthier habits. You're getting closer to your goals and closer to that idea of being 100% healed, being 100% perfect. And whatever, but it's definitely something that you can't rush and you can't expect to just happen overnight. And you have to be in it for the long haul, and you have to be committed to, this is a lifestyle. This isn't a quick fix where I'm just gonna, eat a few fruits and veggies and then I'm gonna be 100% healed. So it's something that you just have to commit to. And once you realize that it's a lifestyle, I feel like it's a lot easier to stick with it and to enjoy it and to embrace it and to learn new creative ways to continue to enjoy it, and just knowing that you're getting better every day and you're getting closer to your goals.
Thank you, Kaycee. I have one question for you, and then I want you to continue to tell your story, but also open it up to everyone to ask you questions. But so let's see if I can hop in so you guys can see me. Add to spotlight. There we go. So when you we're starting this journey, because kind of my goal here is to talk about the process that's hard. Like, it's good to always talk about the how fun it is and how great it is to start seeing results. Like Pam and Heidi have been doing this, for a month now, and they've saw amazing results, and like, you're so inspirational, and they lost weight and they look gorgeous and they're feeling amazing. And those stories are so inspirational. But I also want to give a lot of validity to the people who have trouble, and maybe that first month they don't see results, and maybe they have something serious going on and they're not getting the results that they need. And I want to bring some light to that, because it's just as valid, it's just as common, and it doesn't mean necessarily that it's not working. So just mentally, what would you recommend to somebody who is at that point, to stick to something like this, and how do you do the mental gymnastics to stay positive?
I think it's important to try to like keep track in a way of the like small little accomplishes you might be like making along the way, because a lot of times we're hoping for these big leaps and bounds of waking up one day and just having this miraculous turnaround, and you might not realize or appreciate the small improvements that you're making along the way. So that's something that I've not done as well as that I should do, but tracking as far as, I'm doing a lot of physical therapy to like old joint damage and everything. So keeping track of small goals and small accomplishments along the way helps keep a positive mindset, because it helps remind you that you are making improvements, even if they're small. You are making improvements every day. So I think keeping track of it and also reminding yourself of your why is always the biggest thing for me. Like knowing a big part of why I'm trying to do this all naturally is because Danny and I want to have kids, and we want to have kids when I'm not, on a bunch of medications and dealing with this disease in general. So trying to go this more natural route, reminding myself of that why of I want to have kids and I want to be able to do this naturally. That helps me also kind of stay more positive and kind of keep myself on track when some days it is harder. Like you mentioned, there's definitely days that you wake up and you don't want to put in the work. You don't want to, eat the right things. You want to just reach for the comfort or just, lay in bed all day or, whatever it might be. But knowing what it is of why you're doing what you're doing can help you kind of get through that rut and kind of like push through that a little bit.
Thank you. That was perfect, and we're gonna come back to it. But that was a perfect transition because I want to hear, open it up to all of y'all and hear what might be, if you have those times of like wanting to reach for comfort foods and wanting to having those trouble times where you're not loving the healthy green lifestyle and you want to do something else. What would be your why to keep you on it? And how can we strengthen that why? And does that happen, and what do you do in that case? And we can offer each other advice. Pam, you think you can hop in? You have any insight on this?
I mean, I just finished the month, and I'm gonna be honest, there definitely were moments that I think we talked about it on the phone. I went to a party and there was cake. Um, and the desire's there. It's, I compare it to somebody that's recovering from addiction to, alcohol. It's sugar, you're craving it. And so I told you when we talked on the phone, I actually took a little tiny bite of it, and it was about that big, and I felt so sick from it. So for me, that's the surefire way to like get over it. It's just how you feel. You just feel horrible when you've had it.
Okay, boom, 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 boom. That's perfect. And I think that we're gonna all experience that. And Kaycee, I'm curious, what are you guys making over there? You guys making some good food? Hang on, hang on, hang on. You're not on the spotlight. Show us.
Okay, let's see. Big old bowl of pasta. Huge bowl of pasta. And it's just zucchini noodles with sauce, and he's putting some sunflower and snow pea greens.
Amazing. So I was just saying that that seems to happen to me as well, Pam, that like you eat when you go off of it, you end up not feeling good. So it's like a natural consequence that keeps you on it. There's a natural consequence to it. Cool. Anything else that you wanted to add to it?
I'm still trying to get to the bottom of like when I am craving stuff, like what is triggering the behavior that makes me want to eat that. It goes back to childhood and comfort and stress and like security blanket. The food is like a security blanket. So journaling about it and just being conscious of what is triggering it, I think is
Are you actually doing that? Are you actually journaling about it?
Yeah, I'll write down when I have like a light bulb moment, like, oh wow, that's why, I was going through that, or something triggers something. And
whoa, that's huge.
Yeah, it helps.
Wow, amazing. Heidi, have you had any experiences like that?
So I think for me, again, and I've been on before, and everybody knows I'm pretty regimented. So the more regimented I can be, the better. And I can avoid those temptations, because it is like when I'm in my own house and I'm buying my own food and making my own stuff, I'm okay. But when I go someplace else, or because of where I live, like, socializing, going out to eat is something that, people do, and we don't have places and choices to go where the food is good and what I want to eat. So for me, avoiding them temptation, unlike Pam, if I had that one little bite, I'd be eating a whole piece of cake. Yeah. I don't have that type of self-control. and I might have felt horrible after the first bite, but I'd still eat the whole piece. It's just,
That's how I
so
used
for
to be.
I just have to not have any. That's what works best for me,
Okay.
for
That's
sure.
yeah, and I think that that's yeah, I think that for everybody, I mean, I don't know, I guess that there is two different parts of it. And sometimes I'm one way and sometimes I'm the other way. So I don't even know where I stand on that. Hey, Tara, can you come in and introduce yourself and give us some love and insight? Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Hi. All right, hang on. Let's see. Hello everybody. Nice
Yeah,
to meet you
introduce
all.
yourself.
Heidi, I think I know Angela, right? You're friends with Angela from Hippocrates? Okay. Angela is not on the call right now? Okay. Okay.
She couldn't come tonight.
Okay, it'll be good to see her next time. So I haven't started yet. I went to Hippocrates, which is all raw, for a month, and I'm back here now for about 3 weeks. So I haven't really been keeping up with it that much. Here and there, I try and implement as much raw food and juices as I can. But in terms of insight at the moment, Rebecca, I have none to offer. Sorry. Yeah, I will start this once I get starting this program next week, and
But not even
we'll see.
insight, just like where you're at, and then maybe we can provide like some inspiration. Because I think where just share where you're at with all of this. Like, have you noticed that? Like, what were your weaknesses before we got on the phone and you were getting off a little bit? Like, what was causing you to not stick to it? Was it
Well,
time? Was it just not knowing what to do, or was it stress?
the hardest thing is that I see and feel absolutely no difference whether I eat crap or whether I eat really well. I don't feel any improvement in my health. I'm in a lot of pain today and I don't feel any better. And so I went way off the rails today. And it doesn't matter. I ate really well yesterday and I woke up feeling like crap. So it's very hard to stay dedicated and determined when I don't feel improvements. Granted, it's been a short period of time for me. And so, yeah, I don't know, but hopefully if I dive in next week, once I start this program and I can be more consistent with what I'm doing, maybe possibly I can feel just the slightest improvement, which would be motivation to keep going.
Yes. And that's kind of what I wanted to hear from Kaycee, was some inspiration from someone who's been on the long haul with it and has experienced that. So I'm happy that Kaycee is here to give you just some a little love in that department, because I don't understand what you're going through, but I totally empathize for like being in pain and not having answers. But like I've said before, and like I'll always continue to say, as human beings and in this struggle of life, sometimes I can't be the only one who's seen people be hopeless and then see hope and then make changes. So that feeling of hopelessness doesn't have to be the reality in the future. Just because you're feeling hopeless now doesn't mean that something isn't going to change. I've seen people be absolutely hopeless and think nothing will work, and this has been nothing has worked for so long. There's no way nothing will change, and then something changed. So just because you're hopeless now doesn't mean that something's not going to change.
Right. Okay. That's very nice to hear.
Yeah. Hey, before I get to Kaycee, Jacob Shear, can you make us laugh or something? He's our comedian of the group.
What's up, guys? Yeah, do you guys
I
want to?
don't think anybody knows you.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I was part of Rebecca's first group of the cleansing.
You are.
So, yeah, it was pretty cool. I bought this great juicer that I still use, and everybody who sees it's like, "Oh my God, how'd you get that juicer?" So it's a good talking point. It made me very popular. If you guys want a little joke, look at this bread. We can't eat it. Ha ha ha. Okay. That's the joke. Um, I empathize with a lot of what you guys said, especially that it took you a long time, not you, but it takes us a long time to get where we are. So it will take a long time to get to a homeostasis again of like feeling like generally good. Like, of course, no one's going to feel good every single day, but more like generally in a good place. And I don't know if this is true, but my hypothesis is that, let's say it took you like, I don't know, like 9 years of like to like get sick, then it'll take you the square root to get better. So that'll be 3 or like 25 years.
Tara's like, oh my God.
All right, too much math, right?
That's stressful.
Yeah, like, I mean, personally speaking, when I was like 23, 22, 23, I was not in a good place mentally, spiritually, physically, and I wasn't aware of the mental and the emotional, and then the physical kind of woke me up when like all of a sudden like I couldn't eat real foods and I had joint pains and I was like, I'm a young guy, why am I experiencing this? And every doctor was like, we can't find anything wrong with you, you don't have Lyme disease, you don't have blah blah blah, it's all in your head. And I refused to believe that. But I did a lot of dieting and I tried everything. So what I realized is it's a mix of all the things. So mind, body, spirit. You can't, like, I know some people, maybe you guys know them too. They're like very, very into their diet and they're very militant about it. And if you don't do exactly what they say, they turn into like the devil. And so
That's
I'm
me.
not saying they're bad, but there's so much fire in that, and fire is good. But I'm just like, yo, chill. So anyway, long story short, it's I think it's holistic. So it's mind, body, spirit. So if you're like eating right and exercising and recycling, but you treat your neighbor like crap and you have no kindness or compassion for anybody else, it's going to be a long journey. Anyway, that being said, you guys are awesome. I heard your stories. You guys seem really great. And I can't wait to hear more from Kaycee about what we're going to learn.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. And Jacob, you are like you're like a healer from what I remember. What are your credentials?
I mean, you said it. So, yeah, I mean, I came into this kind of like empathic healing work. It's something that I do, and I find that connected to everyone's like physical challenges, there's always emotional um, things that are with it. So maybe the physical caused the emotional, or the emotional caused the physical, whatever caused what. So I find that you need to work with both to really heal your body, heal your emotions, feel connected, and that things in this world, like let's say you're having trouble with a relationship or a financial issue or something, it's not just random. It's there for you to learn something and to go inside. There's always an inside component to your outside challenges. So that's the kind of thing I help people work through, is like, what's the message here? And a big part of that is, what are you putting in your body? And what are you putting in your mind? What messages are you telling yourself? What messages are you telling other people about yourself? So it's like, you can plug up one hole of the ship, but if there's like thousands of holes, your ship's not going to float. So I feel like the healing journey is like, okay, I plugged up this hole. Now let's move to the next one. And there's water everywhere and it's messy, but we're going to heal. And it takes a village to raise a child. So it's going to take a village to help you heal. So you got to find good people like Rebecca and like all the people here. And that's it.
Amen. Thank you, Jacob. And like, I'm just so happy that you came today, because that was exactly what everybody needs to hear, including myself. Because I think that it's a big component, the emotional component. And, you know,
yeah, like if you go on a cleanse, you're going to feel great for like a week, right? It's going to feel like you're pumped. And then like, I don't know if it's called, like, there's like a term for this, like you hit a wall and you're like, oh my God, all the feelings are back. So like, you have to work through it.
Yeah,
And I
things
mean,
come
like,
out.
I've had a really hard couple days, so like it always happens, like you're always going through it.
Yeah. And I think also like even like for Tara, going through having such a long period of time of trying really hard and being at Hippocrates and still not seeing results. What you said, Jacob, about there being an emotional like component to that, and like what are we telling ourselves? Like it's obviously easier said than done to like be saying like I am healthy and like I am not sick and like I am healing even when you're not feeling it. But to think of some type of like affirmation that actually does make sense to you, that you can agree with, that's truth to you, but it's still positive, is going to be the game changer. So like I am working hard. I am not getting the results that I am expecting to, but but I believe in this raw food. I believe in the concept of raw foods, and I'm going to give it a chance and keep trying for myself. Now, I'm sure that this is what you're saying to yourself anyway, but to remember that I believe in food as medicine. I believe in nature. I believe in Mother Nature. I believe in my physical body's connection to Mother Nature, and this makes sense to me. So even though I'm not seeing it right now, logically, it makes sense to me. So it's not illogical for me to continue doing this. Something like that, something that actually resonates with you and actually makes sense to you, that you can continue to tell yourself that's positive, rather than like, oh, this isn't working. Because the this isn't working is not going to help. So just don't keep it out. Keep it out of the head. No
Well,
matter
it's
how
just
much
one
it's
perspective. This isn't working, or this is just part of the process, like those are just two different ways of seeing it. But yeah, I agree with what you said. And for people who are like in the process, if you're doing an affirmation, what really works for me is finding something that resonates. And the way you know it resonates is when you say it, you subtly nod. You know what I mean? Like if you say it and you're like,
I was watching Tara while I was saying things, and there was one thing that she nodded at. I think it was, I said, I believe in Mother Nature, and I believe that it's the connection that I am Mother Nature. So I believe in that nature can heal me. Something like that. So if there's anything that you nodded with, write that shit down right now. That's what your mantra is.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do something called EFT, which is also called tapping, where you like repeat phrases and you tap at the same time. I'm a big fan of
Like
trying
that's my
this out.
shit.
Yeah, so like one of them is like, even though I'm feeling all this pain and discomfort and anger, I know that there is a hope for me. Something like that, where it's like, okay, I'm not disqualifying the pain I feel right now. I'm acknowledging it. I'm acknowledging that I feel this way and that right now I'm not comfortable. And I'm giving that credence, and I'm giving myself like a step forward. Like, even though I'm feeling all this discomfort, I know that I'm resilient. Something like that. Everyone's got their own, pick a formulation that works with you. And as you tap, it like gives a physical rooting to the verbal affirmation. So
So
yeah, it's like,
it's actually on the meridians that they teach tapping, and it's really interesting. It's actually hilarious. We were just talking about this with Heidi on one of my last classes, about I was like, it's like breaking news. Like we found something that like is free and like helps everybody break through all of their problems, and it's literally just tapping their head. Yeah, and Tyra's like, okay. But it's so funny because it's true and it makes sense because we are not in our bodies. We are just like so not in our bodies most of the time. We're so in our heads, we're so in our pain, and we're not in our physical bodies like in peace and like the unwavered flame that is us. And like by tapping, we're tapping our meridians that gets us balanced and in homeostasis in our body. So it makes absolute sense. Even though you look like a whack job, it makes complete sense. as to why tapping the middle of your head like this gets you back into your body, gets your head stopping to think those thoughts, and you can only think this positive thought of I love who I am. I am healing right now. I am on the right path. I am on the right path. I am on the right path. Right? So you just keep tapping, and you can't think anything else but what you're saying, and it just blocks out everything else. And I'd say for the beginning stages, that's probably the most powerful thing that you could do, Tara, and for anybody here. The most powerful thing that we can do, never mind food, never mind anything else, is to take care of our mind, because this old noggin is trying to kill us. This old noggin is really, really, really trying to play games with us. But what we have to do is we have to reel in the wild horse. We have to reclaim control of ourselves and our emotions, our reactions, and our thoughts, because we do have that control innately as our unwavered flame. But we lose that control in life from traumas, from emotional stuff, from sickness. Like, we lose our control over ourselves. And so if the first step of this whole journey is just trying to reclaim control of like emotional stuff, and food is stressing you out, maybe don't even do the food. Like, I'm honestly I'm here for you. I'm not here to give you wheatgrass. I'm here for you and your healing journey. So just keep that in mind as you're going through this, that anything that you can do to get that old noggin thinking something funny and happy is the real healing. Watch comedy, hang out with Jacob, like anything you could do to make this little thing like light up and laugh is probably hang out with friends. Like I told Angela, I told her that was your homework this weekend. You have to hang out with friends. That is the real healing, at least in the beginning stage. Until you get that brain lit up a little bit, it's really hard to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just chime in one last time here. Like, most of the things we think about ourselves and about like life are subconscious. Like, we don't even know that this is what we think. And something I've just observed is people who are not born in the United States have much higher self-esteem than people in the most people in the United States who I've encountered just don't believe they can really impact their lives. And that's just like a subtle belief, like that we're victims to like the world and that we can't change. And although we are influenced by like the food system and the media and whatever, we have the ability to choose what we put in our body, what we put in our mind, like what news we consume, what social media we consume, who we talk to, like all these things are within our control. But I totally agree with Rebecca, like reining in the wild horse of our mind that is like thinks it can do whatever it wants just because we've been programmed to do that.
Or because we've let it, like we didn't know that we have control over it. We've let like society take control, but it's our mind. Sorry. Okay, amazing, Jacob. This was like totally rogue, and I hope you come every single time. Kaycee, does anybody have any questions for anybody? Heidi, Pam, Tara, no? Okay, so Kaycee, give us some love. And
I want to say one thing real quick.
Yes.
I have to leave at 8:30, but if any of you have any questions about EFT, like tapping, you could reach out to me. I think Rebecca could give you my number on WhatsApp, and we could set up a time.
You're in the group chat, right? In the WhatsApp group chat?
I am. That's right. The healthy eating. Yeah, it's great watching everyone's pictures and growth, and it's amazing.
Yeah, so tapping, would love to have a group on that one day, Jacob, if you want to lead one.
Yeah, let's do it.
In a couple
let me
weeks.
know when you want it. And
next week, by the way, Jacob, before you go, next week I had a really good idea because I'm leading a group. I led a group last week that was like really fun and really talented. Like half of them were professional singers. So next Wednesday, I'm having a talent show for all of you. Kaycee, you too. So next week at 7:30, we're having a talent show. And tell a joke, sing for us, who knows what, share a recipe. I don't care what you do. Dance for us. I don't care, but or just come to watch the show, but it's going to be fun. And yeah, that's next week at 7:30. Instead of chatting about something miserable, we're going to just laugh.
But Rebecca, what if that's my talent?
Chatting about something miserable. Okay, you can do that if you want.
Okay.
You can do stand-up comedy.
What'd you say?
Misery is the basis for good comedy, you know?
Right, that's true.
It
If you,
certainly is.
all of us are true comedians.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's my little shtick that everyone should come for next week for some fun. And now for the next 20 odd minutes or so, or however long Kaycee would like to speak, if there's anything that you would like to share, maybe what you were eating or what your experience is with this cleanse. And let's just let's chat.
Yeah, for sure. So I got the products for the cleanse last week on Thursday, and I pretty much started right away, at least with the wheatgrass shots. I've been doing the 2 ounce in the morning and 2 ounce in the afternoon every day. I feel like I've already started noticing some like changes in certain things. Like I feel like my digestion has been really, really like on point for this last, week, and my sleep has been a lot better, and I've had more energy. So those 3 things I feel like have seemed slightly different. But because Danny and I have been in a very routine eating schedule for like probably close to a year now. So anytime I add anything different or do anything different, I feel like I can like notice pretty big changes because I do the exact same thing every day. So the wheatgrass has been good. I've really been enjoying all the microgreens in my salads and wraps and pretty much anything we can add it to. I will say, I was going to say earlier that I think it's important to remember that everybody's healing journey is going to be different. And I feel like it's easy to hear a story of someone who, because this has happened to me quite a few times, where someone, they ate nothing but fruit for 3 months and they were healed, or they went on a 2-month juice fast and they were healed, or they started wheatgrass and they were healed, or all these different things. And so we think that that one thing is going to be that one thing that, oh, I wasn't doing that this whole time, and now if I do that one thing, then everything's just going to magically fall into place. And I've kind of fallen into that trap a few times, but it's important to remember that everybody's different, everybody's body is different, everybody's healing is different. The amount of damage and disease you're currently going through is going to be different. So you're going to have to kind of like go through some trial and error basically to figure out what's working for you. And you have to like give things like a long enough time to really figure out if it is working or not, and then make adjustments from there. But starting simple, I think, is also really important, and not trying to overwhelm yourself. A lot of people are trying to, get really fancy with what they're eating, or recreate their old favorites, or trying to like recreate comfort foods and this and that. But I think it's more important to just focus on embracing the healing foods and appreciating what they're going to be giving your body, and being grateful for the fact that you have the knowledge you have, because a lot of people don't even have this information of the fact that you can heal naturally, you can heal with foods, you can heal with all these other modalities. So being appreciative of the fact that you have that knowledge and embracing that, and just trying to keep things simple, and like focusing on the fact that if you're in this healing stage right now, you need to keep things simple and keep things routine. And like I said, I mean, Danny and I've been eating and drinking and having the same like eating schedule for the last like 10 months or so. But it's because I know that that's what's going to be best for my body, as far as getting my digestion straight and doing all the healing that I need to do. The more simple I keep things, the better my body will be able to manage everything it's got to manage. So just trying to keep things simple, and just embracing the good that comes out of everything you're doing, even if it doesn't always feel great, I think is important. And just trying to remember that it's not a one size fits all thing, where if it worked for one person, it's definitely going to work for you. It's going to be something that you just have to keep working with and experimenting and doing some trial and error to figure out what works best.
So what was what was the timeline for you, as far as like what you realized once like things started working, and like how you were feeling then versus how you're feeling now, that kind of thing?
The first 4 years when I was doing the standard American diet and medicine, I knew for a fact nothing was working. I was getting just progressively worse and worse and worse. I was on 7 different medications when I was in my wheelchair and still couldn't stand, couldn't bear weight at all on my legs. I had so much joint damage going on. I was getting my knees drained and getting cortisone shots in my knees every 2 or 3 months, and getting, steroid injections in my back just to do some like overall, because I was in so much pain constantly. So everything I was doing at the beginning was for sure not working. And it took me getting to that like desperation of, I'm doing everything the doctor is telling me to do, and I'm in a wheelchair, and I'm only 24 years old. Like I can't live my whole life like this. So that was when we first went plant-based. I remember it was us going to a naturopath doctor for the first time. And I remember her saying, you have to cut out meat, you have to cut out dairy. Like that's the first thing you have to do. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. Like figure out something else. I'm going to keep eating what I'm eating. But then we went home and we watched, Forks Over Knives and What the Health and some of those other documentaries. And can you go grab my laptop charger? And some of those other documentaries, and we pretty much went, cold turkey overnight. The next day we went vegan, and I haven't eaten meat or dairy since. And that was back in 2017. And that was a big shift for me. And I finally started to see improvements, and I finally started to lower my medications. And I was finally starting to, I got out of the wheelchair. I was doing a lot of physical therapy, all this stuff. And so that was, I got to probably like 60 to 70% like of my normal, functions and everything. I was going back to work because I was out of work for about a year. So I went back to work. I was, getting things back on track. But I was still like, I had only made it like 60 to 70% to what I wanted to get to. And that was when we started looking into the raw vegan diet and, making that shift from being more whole food plant-based to being completely raw. We learned a lot from Dr. Morse at the beginning. That was a big source of information we were getting was from Dr. Morse. So we went raw in June of 2020. And that seemed like just as big of a shift for me from being very like clean, whole food, plant-based, cooked food vegan to switching to a raw vegan felt just as big of a shift as going from standard American diet to vegan, because I was able to start feeling a lot better. My energy, like my sleep was improving. A lot of different things were improving. I stopped taking all of my medication last September. So it's been a little over a year that I've been completely medication free. I do still have I'm still dealing with a lot of the old joint damage. So I still have a little bit of mobility issues, but I've improved in so many other aspects of my life, especially my digestion, which I always forget to even mention, but I was having a ton of digestion issues before I was diagnosed. And I actually had a colonoscopy when I was 19 because they thought that because I was having a lot of issues. So they did a colonoscopy. They told me my colon was super red and super inflamed, but that I was totally fine. And they gave me no advice, no help at all. They just said, you're good to go, really red, really inflamed. Don't worry about it. So I was 19. So I was like, okay, sure, I'm good to go. The doctor said I'm good, I'm fine. And then a year later, I was diagnosed with an aggressive autoimmune disease. So I know that it all leads back to my digestion. So that's been a big like focus of mine throughout the whole journey. But yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Each shift has been big. Now what we do is we do fruit.
How old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
9.
29. Okay. So we're chilling. We're chilling. So you've been through a lot. Okay. Sorry, continue.
It's a decade now that I've been dealing with this fun stuff. Yeah, we went raw vegan. That was good. I did do a 4-month juice fast from January to the end of April. I was on a juice fast, and that was really big for my digestion because I basically realized that I had a huge malabsorption issue, and I was having I have trouble gaining weight, and I was having a lot of, other issues. But the juice fast, even though I lost weight during the juice fast, it helped me kind of clear up that malabsorption issue. And now, ever since I've been off the juice fast, I've actually been able to gain some healthy weight, which has been great. And getting into our routine, we just have fruit all day, and then we have a big veggie meal at night, a salad, pasta like this. We have wraps, different things.
What's the pasta?
What's that?
Yeah, what's the pasta? Is it like zucchini noodles or?
Yeah, just with like a tomato-based sauce.
Can you see the bowl? Because it looks beautiful, but I cut you off before.
It's almost empty
Oh,
now,
it's
but
done. So what was in it?
It's just tomatoes, and we put some of the microgreens. We got some sunflower and snow pea microgreens, and some diced tomatoes, and just like a tomato-based sauce. And then I have a wrap that I'm gonna eat after the call because it's a little too messy to try to eat on camera.
Okay, so wow, you've had, and if anybody has any comments or questions, put them in the chat or raise your hands, but otherwise I'll keep doing my thing. You've been through a lot and you're still going through it. What point in the journey do you feel like you are now?
I feel like once I get my mobility like back to where I want it to be, I feel like I'm like doing really good. Like I feel like my energy is a lot better. Like my mind feels clearer. I'm sleeping so much better. My skin's better. My hair's better. Like a lot of things have improved my overall. And it's kind of difficult a lot of times for my family to kind of understand because they're seeing me still have mobility issues. So in their head, I should still be on medication. I should be going back to the doctors. I should this and that. But it's hard for them to understand that even if my mobility at certain times was a little bit better when I was on medication, it was just because the medication was covering up the symptoms. I was in a much unhealthier state at the time, but it might have looked like I was healthier because I was able to, walk around, do everything normally. And so to them, I seemed healthier. So, but now I feel like the healthiest I've been in my life. I just am struggling a little bit with my mobility because I've been, off medication for over a year, and I had a bit of a decline when I went off medication. And I also was on that juice fast, and I was kind of using excuses. I worked from home, so I was using excuses to like not be very mobile to the point where I lost a lot of muscle mass during that juice fast. And so it's been a lot going through of that. But yeah, I would say that I'm very close to being like really like deep into like my healing. I just need to keep working on getting my mobility back. I go to the pool 3 times a week and do like a lot of pool therapy, and my husband's a physical therapist, so he's able to help me a lot with a lot of stuff.
Wow, that's lucky.
Yes, that worked.
You lucked out. Was he your physical therapist and then you married him, or was that?
Met like 9 or 10 months into my diagnosis, and I was a lot more because I was, hopped up on 5 different medications at the time. So, it was pretty normal as far as like my mobility and everything, all that was fine. But no, he actually started he went to go get his physical therapy like license while we were dating, and he's been a physical therapist for about 3 years now.
Well,
But no, he wasn't originally my physical therapist.
I'm curious, is he there with you?
Yeah, he can.
Does he want to come say hello? He could say no, I guess, but now you really can't. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking care of our Kaycee. And Kaycee, thank you for taking care of him. You guys take care of each other. Hey, you have any inspo or any because you've been doing this lifestyle as well. Do you have anything to share as someone who's been on this journey as well?
I've lost around 80 pounds. That's like the biggest takeaway from this. I'm a whole new person now, pretty much. Like the old me was gonna look like my dad, 200 pounds overweight, like high blood pressure pills at age 30.
Angry.
But now I'm just a new person. Like I don't even look back to the old guy. Yeah. Like it's night and day. It really is.
Do you ever have trouble with it?
Not after you kind of realize what your why is and like going back to the old route. Yeah, I had some slip ups and then I felt the negative effects from it. So that kind of is a big inspiration for me because like I hate to feel in pain. Like I ate dairy 2 years ago by accident and it like ruined me. So like that kind of like and I like read labels all the time, so I kind of just avoid at all costs.
Yeah.
But overall, like my sleeping's a lot better. I used to like take sleeping medication, and that's kind of out the window.
How long did it take for the sleeping to get better?
From going vegan, probably like 6 months, but going raw, within like a day, I was sleeping for like 5-6 hours, but then I was wired the whole day.
He knocks out.
Yeah, I can go to sleep within like 10 seconds, and then I like wake up the alarm, but then I'm up from like 4 a.m. to like 10
Yeah, he
p.m.
wakes up at 4 a.m. We both wake up at 4 a.m. every day, but then he goes to work at 6 and I go back to sleep. And he's just up from 4 a.m. on.
But I'm like
and-
never tired. Everyone's like, "Are you on coffee?" I was like, "Never. I hate coffee, but
Yeah.
just high on life, I guess."
Yeah.
So are you guys doing coaching now?
Yes, we've been doing it a little bit like privately, and we're just starting to kind of like open it up to more people.
Cool. From your experience, and because you do have a pretty big raw vegan following, or whether they're raw vegan or they're on the journey, have you heard, because I've been like helping people and hearing stories my whole life and have had my own experience, and I know that it's not always as easy as you guys are. I mean, Kaycee, you didn't make it look easy, but you're making it look easy by just saying like a day and all my sleeping problems are gone and I lost 80 pounds, and like, that's great. And I believe that that's true for a lot of people, but I also know that for a lot of people, it's not true. And I'm curious if you've had that experience with the people that you work with, and like how many in your experience from like a vast overview, what your feeling is on why it takes longer for some people versus other people, or any, I don't know. This is a question that I have. I'm just curious, since you guys have been doing this for a little while, what your feeling is on that.
I think a big part of it is what kind of state or condition you are when you first start. Like Danny's always been a pretty healthy. He was, yes, he did lose 80 pounds, but for the most part, he was pretty healthy. He didn't really have any health issues. So for him, going vegan and then going raw vegan and all these different transformations he was making, it's interesting because we can see all these huge changes happening for him, even though we didn't really consider him an unhealthy person, like in the first place. Even not even just about physically, but a huge thing has been his like mental state and personality, even, and like the way he like approaches certain situations. And he used to have a very short temper, which was definitely very much like his dad. And now it's easier for him to kind of see like the big picture and not get so frustrated in like small little moments and this and that. But I think for someone like me, who I had already been chronically sick for, 5 years before I even went plant-based. And then I was plant-based for 2.5 years before we went raw. So for me, I was in a very, very, very chronic state. And a lot of the people that we do talk to are really in a really hard place, and they've been sick for a long time and they've been in pain for a long time. And like we talked about at the beginning of this call, when you've kind of been in that state of being in pain for so long, it is hard to get your mind wrapped around the fact that you can change that, and that you can be in a better place, and that you can heal and feel better.
And it will get better.
And it will get better. I thought you want to say something. Yeah. And it will get better. Exactly. So I think that, I think it's just about where you're starting and knowing that it's going to take time. There's a lot of people who will message us and they'll be like, I've been eating raw for 2 weeks and I just don't feel good. And I'm like, well, yeah, you've only been doing it for 2 weeks. You've been eating this horrible way for 40, 50 years. And now you're going to eat, some salads for 2 weeks and think you're going to feel amazing. And that's just not how it works. It's not realistic. But unless maybe you are someone who doesn't really have any health issues. And if you're just doing this for the environment or for the animals or to lose weight or this or that, if you don't really have any health issues, you might, in the first week be feeling great and full of energy and feeling all the stuff. So then it is
Jacob, I remember after when he did the cleanse with me the first week, after our first salad, he was like, oh my God, I'm running around like I feel amazing. He was like, what is in these sprouts?
Exactly. So for some people, they can feel the effects right away. And even things, if you guys know about like iridology and how you can like see all the different things in your eyes, Danny's eyes have cleared up so much since we've gone raw. Like they are like starting to turn blue.
Wow. And they look blue to me.
Yeah, I've noticed. He's always had green, like, the hazel, the green, brown. Yeah. And they're getting so much lighter. And I've barely noticed any difference in my eyes. I actually got iridology photos done professionally at the beginning, and I've gotten them done again, and I really don't notice that much of a difference. So it's interesting because I'm like, well, that just shows I'm in a lot more chronic of a state, and I'm in a lot deeper, like in the hole I'm trying to dig myself out of, essentially. I'm in a 20-foot hole. He's in a 1-foot hole. So he just jumped around. He's like, okay, here we go. Let's go. And I'm still, maybe 10 feet down. I still have a few more feet to grow, but you know, it's just about keeping persistent and keeping consistent. That's his big thing. Consistency is key. He tells me that all the time.
So
And
here's a question that I have for you. If you didn't have this rheumatoid arthritis, if you didn't have this illness, would you live this way?
honestly, we've talked about that before, and I don't know if we like would have even discovered it. Like that's what's kind of.
But like now, imagine you were healed and you didn't have to stay on it. Would you stay on it?
Oh yes, we definitely would stay on it. 100%.
Why?
I know how it feel
Knowing
going back.
knowing the information, we've actually we were just talking about this recently. Knowing like the information, all the information we have now, we don't even look at any of the other things we used to eat. We don't look at that as food anymore. Like that doesn't even look like a food. Somebody had posted something the other day that said the thought of eating chicken was exactly the same for them as drinking bleach. And I was like, yeah, I can kind of like agree with that. Like it's just as poisonous. It's not a substance that like you should be putting in your body. So it's just now that we have the knowledge that we have, I feel like it would be pretty much impossible to go back. I mean, I can definitely see maybe like eating some cooked foods here and there. Like even Danny's been starting to eat some cooked sweet potatoes here and there. Yes, I know.
Sweet potatoes.
He was very nervous at first. He's like, should I tell people? Should I do?
That's so funny with me too, is that like people think that I'm raw vegan all the time and I'm not. And I'm not because I choose not to be. And I think the raw vegan lifestyle is amazing for healing. But I think it's also important to balance your mental health with it. And that's it. And everybody has to be on their own journey with it. But what would you say resource-wise, real quick, for anybody who wants to be as passionate as you are about it and as educated as you are about it, what are a few resources that you would recommend?
Well, right now, I'm really
He's
into
the
medical
big
medium.
researcher.
If you guys are into medical medium, I follow.
Medical medium?
So the celery juice, we do that every day. The heavy metal detox smoothie. We pretty much
Have you heard of Perfect Foods? They're really great.
Oh yeah, we like them. That's my number one source is what I was gonna say.
But other than that, I mean, we stick to a high fruit diet, like you said, and I really don't get bored with it. The flavor is always like it's new, it's sweet, it's it's never bad. But it's just staying consistent and knowing like how you feel. Like if I was gonna go back, I wouldn't feel as good as I do now, so I don't want to go back.
And I would say Dr. Robert Morse is a really good. He's got so many YouTube videos, like thousands of YouTube videos that are all about high fruit, raw foods, healing. Wow. And he's got tons of testimonials for people who he has healed. So I think he's a good source for people.
And then what about documentaries?
Oh yeah, I really love Forks Over Knives and What the Health. Those are my two favorite.
Same. And
then I also, I know a lot of people like the Game Changers because that one's more for like the guys and the athletes. So that one's cool if you're like, trying to get like your husband or something into it, then that one's a good one.
Like Cowspiracy, Searspiracy.
Yeah, Cowspiracy and Searspiracy are both really good. There's so many of them. Once you start watching,
that's good enough. If you haven't watched any of those, watch them. But okay. Thank you so much. I don't want anybody who needs to leave, don't feel uncomfortable. But the last thing that I wanted to do, which I would love everyone to stay for, is to state your affirmation for the week or your goal for the week. But I would say an affirmation for the week would be beautiful because that's kind of like what this whole thing was about changing our minds and having what is the affirmation that we're going to have that's going to be what can be like our baseline when we do like the wild horse does get away from us. And sometimes how you figure out what your affirmation is remembering what the wild horse is saying, and then you like calm him down or her down. So like for me it might be you're not, I don't know, I have to think about it, but like if I'm going to be honest, actually, I kind of want to take a moment to think about it because like what's coming up right now, like what is the negative thought or the negative belief that's coming up right now in my life, and what's going to be my baseline affirmation for this week that's going to like calm that. And it might take a moment for everyone to think about, but think about it right now, and I'd love for us to share it. If anybody knows theirs, say it, but I'd like to take a moment to think because I actually don't know mine. Let's take a moment. I think that would be really beautiful. And I'm actually thinking about what the negative belief is first, so that I can figure out what the affirmation would be.
Since I have to go, I'll say mine really fast, but don't stop thinking about yours. Mine's just I love myself. And the belief behind it is that, like, the toxic belief that I kind of have is that I'm not a lovable person. So I'm glad we did this exercise.
Jacob, believe it or not, but everyone's sharing their crackers. Oh my God, what is happening right now? Y'all are such cracker nerds right now. Aisha, you've been here the whole time and I haven't even said hello to you. I can't believe it. Have you been here the whole time? And Robin too. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
So Jacob, believe it or not, I have the same one, that I'm not lovable. I know that all of you love me and I love all of you, but I still have that belief, which is crazy. Why would I have that belief? I think that everybody does on some level, maybe. And yeah, so I love that, Jacob. I love myself, and that is all, and anybody else's love is extra. And I love myself, and I love you, Jacob.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I got to run, but it was awesome.
Okay.
Hope to see you guys again.
Does anybody else have one that they would
I'll
like?
go next.
Yeah.
'cause, I'm like ready to go to bed. It feels like it's like 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we've drawn this on.
Mine would be I am enough. Because the belief is that no matter what I do, it's never enough. So
Amen. And if you can, put that on a sticky note and put it all around your house.
I'll paint it on the walls.
Paint it on the walls. Paint it on your mirror when you, in the first thing in the morning when you're brushing your teeth. I am enough. I have that because I'm crazy. I literally have sticky notes on my mirror.
I'll do it.
Thank you for sharing, Pam.
So I wanted to go next because I wrote down the exact same thing.
Heidi, you did?
Yeah, I am enough. Because I don't feel like I am this week. Yeah, it's been a tough week. So.
Heidi, you're more than enough.
Yeah.
You're the freaking.
Yeah, why? I don't know why we don't feel like we are, but it's a challenge sometimes.
You're so more than enough, and it's so funny how the same thing that I was saying. Like, how could I feel like I'm not lovable? I know that people love me, but if you don't love yourself, then it doesn't matter. And if you don't think that you're enough, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter if anybody else says that you're more than enough. Yeah. You can just keep talking. It doesn't matter. So what do you need to do to know that you're enough is the question. You should
realize that you don't have to be perfect to be enough.
Amen.
You're looking for perfection, and it's just, it's not possible.
Just as you are right now, you are enough. Amen.
Yes.
Tara, give us some love.
Okay. But we're all unlovable, so what's the point?
What'd you say?
What? I said we're all unlovable, so what's the point? Because you said give us some love. Yeah, I mean, that's a demon I'll save for another week. But so for this sort of mantra, I'm just going to go with, like, because I spend my life in pain and being sick, and it's very, very isolating, and it builds up a lot of resentment and anger, which I'm sure some of you can relate to. So I'm just going to keep saying to and learning tonight on this call, like how long the healing journey can be for some people, and like how this lucky dude, like in one day he was sleeping better, like after raw food, and I go to Hippocrates for a month, I don't feel a fucking difference. But anyway, I'm not going to be bitter. But yeah, I'm just going to say the journey or the path is long, but I'm not alone, because, you know, like I have all of you here and support and family and friends. And, you know, I just don't want to invest too much in the isolation that it can bring up.
Amen. I love that. The path is long, but I'm not alone.
I'll go next. Mine is going to be for this week. I am stronger than the pain I am in. Because, you know, there's some days that you are in a lot of pain, and you just have to remind yourself that you are stronger than that pain, and you can overcome it, and you can work through it, and you can do anything that your mind is set to.
That hits. That hits different, as the youth say. Love it. Aisha?
These are all so good. I'm like, oh my gosh. I think the biggest thing that I've been struggling with, and this is not just with health, it's just in my life in general, it's kind of tying back to I love myself, is like, I'm worthy. So I'm worthy of taking the time for myself. I'm worthy to give myself the self-love, nourish myself with the food that I know I should eat, worthy of being healthy, worthy of all these great things. So I think that's my biggest piece, is like, I'm worthy of doing better for myself. But now that I hear all of these, I'm like, I need to go back and think. So I don't know, because everybody has such good ones.
Well, think about it, even though those are good anyway, but think about it and put it in the group chat later.
Okay, cool.
But I'm worthy of taking care of time for myself, I think, is something that all of us can relate to also. So that's a good one that we all need to remember. Robin, you're my last girl.
Okay, I unmuted myself. So originally I was going to say something like, don't worry, be happy. But then I liked, you are enough. I am enough. But then I thought, I can do hard things.
Yes.
So it was a threesome.
Oh, you can do hard things and it's a threesome, Robin? Come on, guys.
I know.
How's
That was a perfect
got that? Amazing, Robin. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been awesome. I never know where these classes are going to go, but this was so natural and perfect. So thank you, Kaycee. Thank you, Heidi, Pam, Tara, Robin, Aisha, Jacob left, but Dan, all of you. And I'll see you next week.
Okay. And I wanted to thank the speaker. Very inspirational. Thank you very much.
It was nice meeting all of you guys.
You too. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.